Hi everyone, it's me, Nina. I thought I would start a Bible study for ladies or men if they're interested. It's very short, probably only take about 10, 12, 13 minutes. And my question to you is, would you like to do this once a week? I'll probably pick like a Friday or Saturday, or would you like to do this once a month? Now, if I don't hear from anyone, I'm just going to do it probably once a month, and until I can draw some people that would like to join along with me. Now, when I go through this, if anyone has any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll get with you on those. Or if you want to study on different people from the Bible, different women, you can let me know that and I'll look them up, and or questions and answers type of thing, we can do that in the comment section below if you'd like. But anyway, I am going to start with a book that I got for Christmas from my husband, and it is the top 100 women of the Bible. And I've never, before I got this book, had never done a study on women of the Bible, and I found it very interesting because if you've read the Bible at all, you'll know that a lot of times women aren't even mentioned, and if they are, I believe that it's because they served a special purpose to the Lord, or they done something that was brought attention to them that the Lord wanted to give them a little bit of praise. So he added their name, and a lot of the stories about the women in the Bible, their names are not listed. We don't know who or what they're called in that day. So let's get started. I'm going to start off by reading in 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 3. And this study is going to be about Abigail, okay? So, 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 3. Now the name of the man was Nabal, N-A-B-A-L. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding, and of a beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. Okay. I'll just read this and we'll get into it when I'm done. Doesn't take very long. Okay, here is one of the Bible's great mismatched couples. Since it was a custom of the day to arrange marriages, Abigail had probably wed Nabal for his wealth, but not for any meeting of the hearts, which is sad to me. While she was a faithful and savvy woman, he was not only named fool, which is the meaning of his name, his actions showed that he was one. Though women of that day generally had much less respect and authority than men, the Bible speaks highly of Abigail, while recording only the mean-spiritedness and wrong-headedness of her husband. The two were certainly spiritually incompatible. While Abigail had faith, her husband had no time for God. Certainly his attitudes and actions were not those of a faithful believer. Still, though, theirs could not have been an easy relationship. Resentment didn't crush Abigail's spirit. Instead, she used her many personal gifts and graces to bring the best to her household. Now, just by that little bit of reading it, we can tell that this Nabal is not a very nice man. And Abigail probably could, curse his name or talk about him to her friends about how lousy of a husband he is. But she doesn't. Instead, she uses her personal gifts and her graces to bring the best to her household. At the festival sheep shearing time, the surly and greedy Nabal intentionally offended King David. Recognizing the danger, one of the wealthy landowner servants knew whom to approach. He reported the situation to Nabal's wise wife. Immediately, Abigail understood the foolishness of turning down a polite request for support from the displaced David. Though the newly appointed king was fighting Saul for the throne, his warriors had protected Nabal's fields and clearly deserved some recompense. Food for his band of men did not seem an unreasonable request. Nabal had much, and the common custom of the day would have been that he would share with those who had protected him and his household from harm. Instead of wasting time arguing with her husband, Abigail prepared food for David's men. Oops, excuse me. And set off to approach their leader to make peace. She mounted her donkey not a moment too soon. On the road to David's camp, she met the warrior king and his men, headed in her direction and intent on exacting retribution. Abigail knew her husband's attitude had risked all of his holdings and placed her in a difficult position, yet her dependence lay not on her spouse, but with God. Understanding that David was doing God's work and required her support, she provided it. That simple intervention and her humble words and attitude before Israel's anointed but on the run king prevented unnecessary bloodshed. David immediately appreciated Abigail's faith and good qualities, and he praised God for her quick actions. If Nabal did not know how to recognize his wife's value, the king did. He turned aside his wrath because of this faithful woman's generous response. While Abigail worked out a peace plan, her husband partied. She returned to find him drunk, so not until the next day did she explain how she'd spent her day. Hearing what his wife had done, the brutish Nabal literally had a fit. He perhaps experienced a stroke. A few days later, he died. David saw Nabal's death as God's justice and immediately sought Abigail's hand in marriage. In a moment, faithful Abigail moved from a fool's wife to a king's bride. In Abigail, we see many examples of faithfulness. When difficult relationships become part of our lives, we can follow her example. Will bitterness and resentment overwhelm our faith? Or like her, can we trust God will make use even of our hardest situations? Do we do the good that falls our way, knowing that God's wisdom will bring benefit to ourselves and others? Though matched with an unbelieving spouse, Abigail remained faithful to her Lord. Like her, do we resist allowing unsatisfactory relationships to stall us out in our faith and continue trusting our God? Humility clothed Abigail's strength. No radical, angry woman, she paved the way for all women of strength to walk humbly before their God and make peace in broken relationships. God alone brings tranquility to broken lives. Abigail experienced that, and so can we. And like Abigail, we may find that when we've passed through the troubles, God gives us a better life than we ever expected. That is so true. Because of Abigail's faithfulness to the Lord, He blessed her in the end, gave her probably so much more happiness than she could have ever dreamed of in her life. So probably just it's sort of we can relay that message to one of today. We all know someone, or maybe yourself are in a turbulent marriage right now and not happy and not being set on a pedestal and not being listened to and not being loved. And because of the way that Abigail treated Nabal, even though he was very mean and bitter, she treated him still so that her household would be reflected on, that everyone around them, apparently, neighbors and everyone, knew that if you had a problem or if you had something that needed done or someone that you wanted to talk to trust you, seems like everyone knew where to go. They knew to go to Abigail. And that's where they went when King David was having trouble with her husband. So, you know, are we like that in our neighborhoods? Do our neighbors know us as women of God? If they have a problem, or if they just need someone to lay their head on someone's shoulder and just have someone listen to them and make them feel like they're important in this world, are we that neighbor that they're going to look up to or seek to find or call and say, hey, I need help? You know, I can honestly say I try my best, and we all fail. None of us are perfect. And that's why we do things like studies and read the Bible, and, you know, we try to live I guess, as good of a godly life as we can. But we are human and we fall short. But the stories that the Lord had written for the Bible are stories that will uplift us if we listen and we read, and sometimes it's better to read out loud. You know, it makes you actually question as you're reading, and you're thinking, and your mind is revelating to other scriptures that might, like Abigail in this story reminds me of the Proverbs 31 woman, because she only wanted good for her household, and that's exactly what Abigail was, how they spoke of her, that she wanted good for her household. So I guess through this lesson we can say that Abigail was a good woman, someone that we could model our lives after. And God absolutely blessed her in the end, and blessed her probably far beyond what she ever thought would happen. So I hope that you enjoyed that little story and the little Bible study. And join me again, or write below, let me know what you think. And we'll see what we can do. You know, like I said when I made the video about how my channel was going to go, or what it's going to be, I'm kind of just playing it by ear. I'm kind of just letting the Lord lead me. If there's something that needs done, I want to be that person that can do it to uplift others. You know, there's a little thing that I seen on Facebook about fixing other women's crowns. You know, there's so many hateful women and people in general, but it seems like women are really, really mean-spirited to other women. And instead of being mean-spirited, why don't we, you know, give them a thumbs up, give them a kind word. You know, it doesn't cost anything to be nice to people. It doesn't cost anything to just see someone walking down the road and give them a wave if you don't even know them. It doesn't cost anything to be out at the grocery store and put a smile on your face, or speak hi to a little child, because that in itself can make a mommy's heart that's been probably had a hectic day, and she's tired, and now she's got to go to the grocery store, and she's got to take the kids with her, and she's just not wanting nothing but a nap. Maybe by speaking sweetly to their children and saying, "How are you today?" Maybe that will encourage her heart to speak with a little bit more softness and a little bit more love. Because as we all know, and we've all been there when we have children, when they're growing up, it's not easy. It's tough, and sometimes we're tired and we're grumpy, and we just maybe bark out when we shouldn't. I always say, I wish I knew then what I know now. And that's why I want to be able to share with people and all the women out there that maybe by my mistakes, you can see what you can do better for your own children. God bless you, and I hope you all have a good night. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.